The mention of the name Irma immediately conjure up words such as terrible, merciless, relentless, cruel, deadly, catastrophic, and the list continues. September 6, 2017 will live on forever in the minds and hearts of every person who was living in the Virgin Islands on that day. The phenomenon was the strongest Atlantic hurricane ever recorded, leaving more than 80% of the homes and businesses as well as the infrastructure of the Virgin Islands severely damaged. The people of the Virgin Islands were united like never before, and like the proverbial phoenix bird, from the wreckage, people stood adopting a new attitude, a spirit of survival and embracing catchphrases that kept hope alive, such as BVI strong and resilient or resilience. There is no better example of resilience than the strong spirit displayed by the youngest among the community. In a collaborative effort between the United Nations Educational, Scientific, Cultural Organization, BVI National Commission for UNESCO, and the local organization Mentoring Anointed Leaders Everywhere, NAIL, students from various schools throughout the territory were approached and given the opportunity to speak about their experience, which they expressed in ways such as stories, poetry, song, and drawings. This project yielded the participation of approximately 70 students. Leader of MAIL, Pastor Henderson Tittle, explains how the project was born.
The MAIL program, that's Mentoring Anointed Leaders Everywhere. And this whole project began when the boys, after the hurricane, we started to move from different schools, helping the teachers and the students clean up the schools. And one day, we were just talking about our hurricane experience, and one of the boys mentioned, why not turn this into a project? We will call it the MAIL Hurricane Project, My Hurricane Experience. So after then, I had a discussion with Dr. Archer, and I mentioned to her the desire of the young men. I also reached out to Miss Sherry DeCastro, who is one of our English teachers. And she decided, yes, she will take on the project. So that's how the project really started. The schools that are involved, I normally go to the schools to conduct what we call a morning devotions. And I decided to reach out to the principals, asking them to allow their students to take part in this hurricane project. Because I didn't want it just be boys from the MAIL organization, because we are a community-based organization and I want to involve the community also. So they decided, yes, they will take part, and we are where we are today doing this, and I'm all excited about it.
Listen as these students tell it all, allowing the world into their innermost feelings.
Hurricane Irma. The hurricane's name was Irma. It arrived to the Virgin Islands on September 6, 2017. The night before Irma, my aunt, her husband, and children came to stay by us because they heard from the radio that the hurricane would be a strong Category 5. The hurricane claimed to have wind speed of 155 miles per hour or more. The next morning, I ate my breakfast and went upstairs by my grandparents, cousins, auntie, and uncle. They were talking about the hurricane and said that they hoped that nothing would happen to the family. They also hoped that the hurricane would turn back to where it came from. At 12 o'clock, everyone ate their lunch and prepared my grandparents' room with food and water.
My experience with Hurricane Irma was very terrifying. In the early morning, I woke up and heard the wind sounding like a ghost next to my window. I got scared and woke up my parents. I felt like I was going to die because how my brother and sister was acting. During the hurricane, I tried to sleep, but I was too traumatized by the hurricane. I wasn't talking, sleeping, moving, or anything. When I went into my room with my auntie, the wind blew so hard my ears felt as if they were going to explode. Luckily, my auntie found a pillow and covered my ears. During the second part of the hurricane, I heard a loud sound. Boom! I wondered what it was. In my mind, I was going to run outside, but my mother said it was the washing machine. My friend said the wind picked it up and made a dangerous curl and smashed into the wall. My heart was beating very quickly, so I had to breathe in and out, but it didn't help. I tried multiple times, but it still did not help. When the hurricane calmed down, my dad was going to walk down the road, but I told him not to. I was panicking on my dad. Suddenly, the wind started to blow hard again. The worst part was when the door and my parents were fighting. But my parents tied it up with the world's strongest rope. The next day, I was still traumatized. Thank be to God I was okay.
Although the stories are similar, each student carefully recounted their experience, giving distinctive details which captivate the audience, giving them a vivid picture of what it felt like to be trapped between the merciless and agitated winds of Irma for those long hours.
A few hours had passed and the eye of the storm was here. Our plan was to run to the house below us, so that was our chance. We ran out of the closet and to the door. The wind was still pounding, so we opened the door cautiously. What I saw made me freeze. Tears filled my eyes once more. Trees were on the ground and everything looked dull. I was paralyzed with fear. The only thing I could do was feel my family urging me to go back inside. As I ran back inside, I tried to stay calm because I knew that I might have to sleep in that cramped closet. Then my dad heard knocking on the door. It was my uncle and my teenage cousin. I was so happy, and at the same time I was surprised that they were still alive. They had just run up the hill in the middle of a hurricane. After they left, we heard another knock on the door. It was our neighbors from down the hill, but they were not here for a visit. They said that their walls were torn from their home. We invited them in and tried to comfort them, and soon enough we had about 11 people staying in our house. The hurricane was finally over.
So when the hurricane came, the wind started to pick up more and more in the morning. We were all looking out the window, and we were so carried away that we didn't see but heard the window bursting. We ran into my room and felt as if it was shaking. So we ran into the next room. Then we ran into the bathroom and heard cracking noise through the roof.
On September 6, 2017, Hurricane Irma hit the British Virgin Islands really hard. It was the most terrifying hurricane ever. Irma was a category 5+++. At first, I thought that the hurricane was not so bad, not a big deal. But as the hours passed, the winds got extreme. The window on the top of my front door was banging and the water was coming from outside. My father had to go on top the cooler to put towels by the window to keep water from coming in. He said his bus tumbled down the hill. When I looked out the window, the pond joined with the sea, and the gas station dock was covered with water. I did not see the road at all. The roof on the house next to my house was coming off. My family was the only people in the 3-story apartment.
The story of Irma has been told 1,000 times. However, it is a breath of fresh air to hear it, as told by the children, as they bring a mixture of feelings including fear, humor, and hope.
I woke up, the wind was breathing, blowing hard, trees flying through the air. Didn't know what to do, but I realized that my dog was outside. So I had to go to the rescue, save my dog, put him inside the house, and everything was all well for him. But we wasn't done yet.
Hurricane Irma was blowing water in my house, so I had to try and take a bucket and pelt the water outside. My parents did all they could to help me as well. After for a while, Hurricane Irma stopped for a little while. Then people came up to my area and came for shelter because the house blew up down. Then it came back again for revenge. I hope that the time soon that arrived, I got nervous and I hid in the bathroom for about 2 minutes, and then I went to feed my dog. My dog was kind of scared too because he was trembling from the rainwater. Most likely, when it finished, all I could say was hallelujah.
Hurricane Irma was my first ever Category 5 hurricane. She disrupted almost all my plans, especially for school. I had no idea that I would be in Alexandrina Primary School, but switching schools was not that bad at all. I actually loved my teacher and everyone else, but I was looking forward to seeing my friends another year. Now it's time that I tell you about my catastrophic summer. The first and second month of summer wasn't that bad, but it was just boring. Even my mom felt that way, and I wanted a bit of fun and excitement, but a hurricane was not on my agenda. About a week before Irma, when we were hearing warnings, I was told that I would ride through the hurricane by my grandma, just for safety, and at that time my little cousin was still here, so I had to act as if I was his big sister. Irma came in so gently and nice with some soothing breezes. It made me think that it wouldn't be that bad. That did not last that long. After a while, everything was flying, everything was white outside, and I had no idea whether it was rain, wind, or both. She was a dangerous hurricane, Irma. She left a lot of us in great pain. Irma, I really don't want to see you again. Please, Irma, go away with your rain. Your wind, it was so strong. It lasts all day long. Vroom, vroom, you broke down some of me door. Cling, clong, you blew off some of me glass windows. Wish, wash, you blew off some of me roof. When I look around, everything was gone poof. Some we had to hide, some swimming big tide, some we had to run. Lord, this hurricane was no fun.
My experience about Hurricane Irma. Hurricane Irma was approaching the British Virgin Islands. People started getting ready by boarding up windows and getting water and supplies. People were listening to the radio and going on the television to see what category Irma was. I felt scared and worried about what Irma was going to damage. On the 6th of September, Hurricane Irma touched the British Virgin Islands. It had just passed St. Martin, where it caused major damage. During the beginning part of Hurricane Irma, I took a look outside. Outside was blurry. The wind was blowing. Galvanized were flying all over. Glass were breaking and trees were falling down. I was frightened. Current and water went off. It went dark. By the second part of Hurricane Irma, the wind started blowing harder. I had seen more things flying all over the place. My mother told everyone to come on the couch and sit. Finally, it was all over. We went outside and saw the devastation. There was damage everywhere. Buildings were destroyed and cars and boats were overturned on land. It was a dreadful sight to see. Hurricane Irma taught me to be thankful for life and for my family.
These students gave a personal version of their Irma experience, aided by their teachers and assistant within the Mail family, Ms. Sherry DeCastro. Students were able to present to the world what it was like during the long hours endured under the tyranny of Irma.
Mr. Tito came to me with the vision and seeing that we've had so many conversations with adults in terms of their hurricane experience. I thought it was imperative for us to go into the schools and give the kids an outlet to express themselves about what their vantage point was in their experience of Hurricane Irma. So we came together, we went out into the schools, we were able to get over 70 entries from kids from a cross-section of the schools. And I began the process of proofreading, which took quite a while because I had to sift through them carefully, just going through them and hearing the kids' experience firsthand. There were some days when I had to put it down for a bit and then pick it back up because it was overwhelming just to see what they experienced and how they were able to lyrically get it across on paper. It was just tremendous. And so we have been able to just get a cross-section of kids' experience, and hopefully by speaking about it, writing about it, they will be able to allow the community to be involved in their experience post-Hurricane Irma.
The wind was high and the hills did not beam. All faith was lost. Power blew out. We jumped in shock. The wind howled with the sound of cracking branches. The dogs howled with fear or bravery as this upcoming storm rolled in. At the break of a 6 o'clock morning breeze, it began to rain like hail. Small bodies of water rushed in the house. The wind picked up like waves. The wind was so heavy the doors shook like cold ice. Boom! It cracked the living room window. We jumped and dashed headfirst to the bedrooms. The wind hit the bedroom doors with a bump. Boom! The roof shook. Nails flew like pigeon poop. We looked around with fear and wondered what happened with our home. The wind howled with pain to find us, but we never gave up hope. We ran from her evilness. Though the storm calmed down, the house was poorly damaged with rain and bush. We searched for help as the cold wind blew across the hillsides and into the sky. The thunder rolled. The sky turned gray. We rushed back inside like a bad boy's day. The storm roared with pain, and the sky turned gray with a very sharp blade. She roared. She shook the surface, hit the pipes, and brushed the house doors. Boom! The roof ripped off. We jumped, landed on the floor, and ran to the bedrooms. We held the doors with fear, and we realized the house was falling apart like an old rock. My puppy howled in fear. My mother cried. We had only one car in the yard we could use. My mother yelled at this horrible storm. She was angry that the storm had ever come. My uncle cried. I felt bad and sad, having a deep feeling we would die because of a storm. I spoke to the storm, wishing she would just leave my home. She listened to my small voice. We can all now say that we are survivors of Hurricane Irma. What a day to remember. Even better, a day to forget. I have it in my head like it happened yesterday. Every time I close my eyes, it's like instant replay. I try to put the memory behind me, but everywhere there are reminders for me to see. Buildings without roofs, windows, and doors. So much debris on trucks that overflow. Parents without jobs or hours have been cut. Landlords with higher rent and bills to pay. Oh my, they really have guts. We could have all died that day, but Father God heard our prayer. I now have an experience to share.
The worst hurricane in the territory. Hurricane Irma was a devastating hurricane, and I think no one on Tortola expected the hurricane to be so strong. The day of the Hurricane Irma, outside did not feel as windy as it was before. When it was 12 o'clock or so, I felt cold and realized the wind was strong. I saw a coconut tree start to lose its leaves and it started to shake. The tree started to fall and many roofs started to lose their materials. Boom, boom! The coconut tree fell. During Hurricane Irma, it started to rain cats and dogs. Hurricane Irma started to scream. The people started to shout for help, but everyone inside was trying to save themselves. All those things happened around me does not reflect the other damages because my house did not receive as much damages.
Hurricane Irma destroyed homes, schools, trees, infrastructure, and more, but the terrible hurricane was unable to put a scratch on the will and strong spirit of children of the Virgin Islands.
My experience was scary. It started like this.
My sister and I were in our room when it started. It poured and water started to come through our glass door and the floor was getting wet. Our mom told us to run into our brother's room, which was right across the hall. So we had our grandma in there who was bedridden with us. So she was on a bed and all of us was just sitting down where we felt tiny pieces of concrete falling on our heads. We had to run in the closet to protect ourselves. It was 7 of us, my little brother, my sister, my mommy, my daddy, my grandma, and a caretaker. And we were just in a closet, and it was just a small closet just to fit my brother's clothes and shoes, so you get the idea. We were in a closet with our grandma right on top of us. When we were in the closet, we started to pray, sing, and my brothers and sisters started to apologize to each other for what we had done in the last few years. For the other storm, we had to go downstairs, and when we were coming outside, the place was trashed. The fridge, the door of the fridge come off, the portraits were on the ground, the front door had just blown, and it had glass everywhere, and my puppy was inside, in the house, with his dog house inside. So when we went downstairs, we spent the rest of the storm with our neighbors in the bathroom, and while we were in there, we started getting hungry, so they had to go outside to get a few snacks and a few food for us to eat. And after the storm, we had to spend the next 7 days downstairs until upstairs was cleaned out because it wasn't livable. And during the storm, I actually thought I was going to die. And that was my Hurricane Irma experience.
No worries, no cares. Then suddenly, time stopped. A memory that was staying a child's innocence felt like it would never stop. But it happened all so quick. Catastrophic winds that blew our minds. Oh Irma, that wasn't nice. Why take away nature's paradise?
Started the day before the hurricane where I was watching Netflix and my mother asked to turn the TV, and she was so shocked to see that the hurricane turned to a Category 5 and it was still growing. So she called my aunt that lives in Antigua that was getting hit also. The next day I went to my grandmother's house. I went upstairs, but I went to the side of the house because I was looking at the sky and it was very, very cloudy. And I heard this loud noise, and then a few seconds after, a hard gust of wind hit and I was still outside.
Secretary General, BVI National Commission for UNESCO, Dr. Allison Flax Archer, spoke about the collaboration with MAIL on this project. She said that she is delighted to see the students' response and their willingness to share their stories.
We have been celebrating World Poetry Day and World Book and Copyright Day, which we merged over the past 2 months. You've been hearing me speak constantly about publishing, reading, writing, students writing books, and this activity was actually birthed by Mr. Henderson Tittle, who is the director of MAIL, British Virgin Islands, hearing one of the interviews that we actually did a couple months ago. And he said, I think we should collaborate. Hence, 70 students submitted their Irma experiences through writing, poetry, and drawings. And we are absolutely amazed and delighted to share with the world what they have experienced during Hurricane Irma.
It all started with me and my dad and I finishing boarding up the house. So we got tired, we went inside and we went in our bed. After a while, when the hurricane started, it was pretty loud, but we were still asleep. We heard boop on my dad's glass door. Now, my dad and I woke up and decided to go in the living room. So we went in the living room, stayed there for a little while, we were all good. Then it was getting a little stronger. We were a lot of wind. So now the wood on the glass door, another glass door, was hitting up on the glass. It was like boop, 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 a lot. So for a second, we thought if we don't have all the stuff, we have a lot of stuff in the living room, and if we don't put it in front of the door, it might burst. So we put a bunch of stuff down to tables, buckets, ladders, and many more, chairs too. So now when it started to get really strong, like horribly strong, our left wall rips out and the roof fly away. So now we're in a bad predicament right now. We start running, and the wall falls right in front of us. And now we can't climb over. So we got a bike, climbed on it, and went over. We start running, and we're in the hallway, we start running, and then a wall fell on my toe. So it was hurting quite a lot. When Dad lifted up, I took it out, he dropped it, and we started continue running. Now, we're inside of the master bedroom, and then the wall falls with a small little area. So I crawled through there. One of the chairs in the living room was stuck under it. So I removed it. Took me like around 15 seconds, but we were still safe.
On 1st September 2017, I heard that a Category 5 hurricane was going to approach the British Virgin Islands. It was going to take place on 6th September 2017. Weather reporters said that there was going to be many inches of rain. My personal experience was very scary. On 5th September, we washed all our clothes. The morning of September 6th, my family and I were preparing for the hurricane. We put rags by the doors and windows. We stocked up on canned foods. We secured home appliances and huddled together. We made sure everything was safe. For the first half of the hurricane, the house was in good condition. Some of our neighbors' houses were already damaged. When we came out for the eye, we saw that electrical wires were tangled. The poles were underground. Some water machines and other appliances were all over. 1 or 2 houses were gone. Galvanized was everywhere, even in my yard. After the eye, the water was coming in. The winds were raging and I was hearing all sorts of sounds. First, we ran into the hall and the window blew out. We then moved into the laundry room. Water kept coming in. We then huddled in the bathroom. We slept in there for the night. That hurricane was really scary for me. From this, I learned to always be prepared. I realized that I need to be grateful for having life. I heard that some died from Irma. May God bless their friends and families. Hurricane Irma changed my whole way of living.
Bam! As the door hit the wall loudly, scaring everyone in the house. On that day, I thought I was going to die. I could hear the wind forcing its way, trying to take off the roof. It was really scary because I felt like I was going to be picked off the ground. That is not how it really started. Let's go from the beginning. The rain was pouring down like cereal going into a bowl. The trees were shaking very loudly too. It was very normal for me. On the radio, they said the hurricane didn't reach yet, and my father was holding the door very tightly. I wasn't worried at all. Then Mom shouted out of nowhere, "Grab your things and let's go." I ran for the keys and headed downstairs. As I reached, I saw water bursting through the door. I shouted with a scared voice, "Daddy!" When he came, I couldn't get the door open. We had to push on the door to get it open. When we finally got the door open, the wind felt like it was pushing me back. The door slammed and my mom was trapped in the house. My dad had to pull on the door and my mom had to push. After that, I heard a loud sound, and guess what it was? The door came slamming into the hallway. When we got inside, the door was breaking, so my parents had to pack pallets of oil in front of it. I was glad that we made it in the garage alive. After that, it was all a blur.
But out of every bad situation, a good one lends itself. Our children, along with the rest of the community, have certainly learned to prepare whenever a hurricane is coming and learn to appreciate things such as water, electricity, and in some cases, the comfort of a dry home.
First, we bought groceries, and then we replaced our church's shelter's fire extinguisher. When we got home, the rain and wind was very heavy. I thought the hurricane had already started. When I woke up, the hurricane already started. I heard a noise on my door, bam, bam. I went in my grandparents' room. Then we heard a noise on our roof, bam, bam. We checked the living room and the roof already came off. We ran to the laundry room until the eye. When the hurricane ceased, everybody came to see the damage done. My neighbors took pictures of our damaged house. We took some debris and cleaned it. That hurricane changed my whole way of living. I'll never experience a hurricane like that ever again.
I never believed this hurricane could be such a monster. She terrified so many people and amazed them in many ways. Of course, she left me tilted in one position too. Irma was like an X-ray showing the world and ourselves the British Virgin Islands' naked flesh. Irma had the trees leafless and the ground rooted up. One thing that I know for sure is that the BVI stood up strong. When I first heard people talking about Irma, I thought that it would just be some breeze and rain. But like people say, you don't know what's going to hit you until it does. My family was already a week in front of food and supplies. Irma came from the ocean side. My heart began to race with fright and speed. I felt like my heart would skip 10 beats then go again. I almost got a panic attack. That's how scared I was. In my head I was thinking about what may happen to all the people who weren't protected like me or didn't have any food. Boop! Down came one of the poles. The wind began to roar through the creaks of my windows. Slam! My windows began to burst open and was slamming up and down. My ears began to hurt because of the airlocks in my hallway. Our cistern began to overflow. The cistern noise began to go down silently. When my family and I walked through the hallway of water, we opened the door. The amount of damage my eyes saw amazed me. I stood in my position for about literally 2 minutes because I could not say a word or even flinch. When I did, I went to the back of the porch to see leafless trees, galvanized all over, along with piles of garbage, broken down houses, half-standing trees, and my school's bad condition. Cars were tumbled over and poles were in the road. From my experience of this hurricane, I was scared at first, but then I was good. Our workers helped the island a lot. The island got electricity back, garbage was cleaned up, and the road was fixed, and so was everything else.
The youngest of the community are the best examples of what it is to be resilient. We are filled with hope once again as we listen.
Have you ever experienced a hurricane so bad that you felt like you wanted to pee your pants? Well, I have, and it wasn't nice. So now let me tell you all about my experience. It all began on September 4th, 2017. I heard on the radio that a Category 5 hurricane was coming and the hurricane's name was Irma. When I heard that, I was shocked. Can you imagine? My first time experiencing a hurricane and it's a Category 5. My brother and I started to panic, but my mom wasn't panicking. So I asked, "Mom, why are you not panicking?" "Because there's no need to panic," my mom said. I didn't know what she meant, but I knew we would be all right. The next day, the community, my family, and I started to prepare for Hurricane Irma. We started by visiting VI Block and Clarence Thomas to buy plywood and nails. My parents, my brother, and I went to the supermarket to grab ice, canned food, and bread. I couldn't believe how long the line was. After we got through, we went straight to Walmart to buy batteries and flashlights. That evening, we went to Bob's gas station to buy $50 worth of gas for my mom's vehicle. When we got home, we grabbed all important documents, charged our devices, and then continued to listen to the radio announcements. On September 6, 2017, the disastrous hurricane arrived to the British Virgin Islands. At first, Hurricane Irma started off so calm. As soon as I looked outside, I noticed the winds were getting stronger, the rain started to fall heavier, and in a blink of an eye, electricity went off.
And then when the current went off, everyone just got happy because they know Hurricane Irma was coming, but I don't know why. Okay, and then afterwards, Hurricane Irma passed, and then I heard a bang, and I was like, what was that? And my mother went to the bathroom window and said it was a galvanized. So then after that, Hurricane Irma passed, and then we had our first breakfast after Hurricane Irma. And then we went back up by our house and checked on the neighbors was okay. And we went up in our house and all the windows were shattered on our mattress, and inside was filled with water and leaves all on the ceiling and the walls. And in the master bedroom, the part of the roof was gone. And then after that, we went exploring around the territory, and we found out some news that Coach Dag Samuel passed during the hurricane, which was very sad to know. But I just want to thank God and thank God for blessing us and nurturing over us, and my family and I knew that we will build the BVI stronger.
The story of Irma, as told by the youngest in the community. As the future of this territory, they will certainly be able to learn from this experience and assist in the rebuilding of a stronger, smarter, greener, and better Virgin Islands. As future leaders, they will be able to address issues such as climate change and pollution, issues identified as the cause of such catastrophic events. These students will use the teachable experience and tell the world about Irma, the terrible hurricane.